I'm always looking to change things up, improve my cruise experience. And today, I have 7 ways to do things differently on your Royal Caribbean cruise. Up next. Hey everyone, it's Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. There are a few things you can do differently on a Royal Caribbean cruise to make your vacation as smooth and stress-free as possible. And I wanted to share those because when I go on a cruise, especially after the cruise is over and I'm a little depressed, I start thinking about what could I have done better? What could I change to make it easier on myself? And from making dining reservations to planning port days and attending shows, there's a lot to remember on a vacation. But even though there's no wrong or incorrect way to cruise, I think there are ways to improve what you're doing. Like, instead of eating at the buffet, why not choose a specialty restaurant? Or instead of arriving at the theater 10 minutes before a show begins, why not arrive earlier so you can get even better seats? Doing things a little bit differently on a cruise can save you time and stress and make your overall vacation much more pleasant. So today I have 7 ways to do things differently on your cruise. Number 1, apply sunscreen while on board instead of when you get to the beach. Before you pack away your sunscreen in your port day pack, lather yourself up with a generous amount of sunscreen or face the consequences later. The reason why I think this makes a lot of sense is for 2 reasons. 1, you're already in the cabin, you've got that time, you're not on your tour yet, take the opportunity to put on the sunscreen. Number 2, sunscreen works best after it's been set in for a little bit, because if you put on sunscreen then immediately hit the water, well, it could easily rub off. And nobody likes sitting around on the beach with their arms crossed waiting for the sunscreen to set in while other people are already having a great time in the water or whatnot. So I think it's a really good idea to apply sunscreen on board before you disembark the ship to help prevent sunburn before getting to the beach. Depending on the port, you may spend more time in the sun en route to the beach than others. Some ports like Perfect Day, Coco Cay, though, have beaches really accessible from the port entrance. But in other ports like Roatan, you'll need to take a cruise shore excursion or a taxi to get to the beach. And while you might assume you'll remember to apply sunscreen when you get to the beach, some people forget altogether. I'm looking at you, Cruise Habit. Port days are exciting, but it's easy to be distracted with the new culture, beautiful destinations, and when navigating an unfamiliar place. Applying sunscreen before you leave the ship helps prevent regret and pain later on. Something else that I've learned over the years is to get your beach towels at the gangway instead of the pool deck. If you're planning a beach day in port, you're going to want to bring your Royal Caribbean towels with you on shore. That's obvious. Checking in towels is free for all guests, but you must scan your SeaPass card at the towel station so that Royal Caribbean can keep track of how many towels have been checked out. Before you leave to go ashore, though, most people head up to the pool deck to get towels for the day. This can, unfortunately, lead to lines at the towel station, not to mention the fact it's probably out of your way. After all, the pool deck is probably the opposite direction of where you disembark the ship. Not probably, it is the wrong direction, so you're going to go out of your way for that. But instead of having to go to the upper deck to get a beach towel, when you're leaving the ship, right before you get to the gangway, there's almost always a towel station near the gangway. Just like the pool deck, you can check out towels for your day over there. I think Royal Caribbean kind of realized a lot of people forget about it and wanted to offer a convenient option. Grabbing a beach towel on the gangway is a lot easier rather than making a special trip to the pool deck. In addition, you can also grab bottles of water and other beverages here to take with you on your way. Again, Royal Caribbean, I think, discovered people want this and it's a little bit easier. But remember to bring your towels back, because if you don't, you're going to get charged $25 for each towel. Yikes. Next on my list is to try onboard activities on port days to avoid the lines. If you want to try things like the flow rider, water slide, zip lining, and the rock wall, well, you're going to run into lines unless you try this tip, which is that on your next cruise, try to do these activities on port days instead of sea days to avoid those longer lines. Most people will go ashore on a port day, leaving the ship far emptier compared to sea days. And while most passengers are in port, you'll encounter less crowded pools, dining venues, and activities. It's possible to ride water slides with no weight on port days, climb the rock climbing wall several times in a row, and slide down the ultimate abyss without having to wait in a long line. Because lines are one of the most common pet peeves of going on a cruise, ticking off your ship's activities on a port day makes the experience more enjoyable. Trying activities on a port day doesn't mean you have to skip going ashore either. Even if you spend the majority of your day in port, you can do an activity immediately after getting back on board. After a busy day in port, the majority of people head to their cabins to rest and get ready for dinner. There's simply less demand for onboard activities immediately after returning to the ship, leading to short lines, if any, at these activities. The only downside to this tip, admittedly, is waiting to try activities on a port day is that there may be fewer options available. Because so many guests go ashore, there's less impetus for Royal Caribbean to offer an extensive list of activities while the ship is docked. So be sure to check the list of activities and schedule for when these things are open before you plan your day accordingly. Next on my list is to go to an event you would otherwise overlook. Whether it's your first cruise or your 20th, it's really easy to get overwhelmed with the amount of programming offered each day on a Royal Caribbean cruise. From pool deck parties to production shows, scavenger hunts, escape rooms, and live music, there's truly an abundance of activities to choose from on any ship. Due to how many activities are available, it's easy to overlook exciting programming that may not jump out to you at first glance. Activities like craft workshops, ice skating, stretch classes, and comedy shows are just some examples of that. Many people find themselves falling into the trap of participating in the same activities over and over, and I am very guilty of this. It's just easy to get into a routine on a cruise ship, but instead, why not jazz things up with a new activity? On your next cruise, try something completely new. Scroll through the Royal Caribbean app, find an activity you would otherwise overlook, and try that one out. Maybe you finally decide to watch or participate in the World's Sexiest Man competition, or maybe why not try a wine tasting seminar or learn to play table games in the casino? If you try something you've always avoided or overlooked, you might be surprised with how much you enjoy it. Another good do this, not that kind of tip is to eat lunch at a specialty restaurant on embarkation day instead of at the cruise ship's buffet. As thousands of passengers get on board their ship at the same time as you, the vast majority head to the Windjammer, making the venue crowded and chaotic. There's nothing glamorous about a crowded buffet, so why not eat somewhere else? On your next cruise, book a specialty restaurant for lunch on embarkation day instead of eating at the buffet. Depending on your sailing, 1 or 2 specialty restaurants should be open for lunch on embarkation day. It's almost always Chops Grill or maybe one of the Italian restaurants on your ship. Even though, admittedly, lunch at a specialty restaurant will cost extra, the peaceful environment amongst the chaos of embarkation day makes the cost well worth it for a lot of people. Plus, you'll enjoy some seriously delicious food as well. The best way to reserve a specialty restaurant for lunch on embarkation day is to book it ahead of time via the Royal Caribbean Cruise Planner website. You can use a credit card, or if you prefer, burn that onboard credit to make the reservation. Those with dining packages must wait until they get on board the ship to make all reservations, including lunch, on embarkation day. Waiting until you're on board may result in little to no availability for lunch, but in most cases, there should be a table available at one of the restaurants on your ship, especially if you go there immediately. If you'd rather eat at a complimentary venue on embarkation day, you could opt for a quieter venue instead of the buffet. Dining somewhere like Park Cafe or El Loco Fresh may offer a more relaxed lunch compared to the Windjammer. My next tip is to arrive early for entertainment to get the best seats. Let's face it, not everyone can afford to book front row seats at a production show on land. The best located seats on a Broadway show can easily cost several $100s. One of the major benefits of cruising is that all the production shows are included in your cruise fare, from Royal Caribbean's original productions to their Broadway performances. From high diving shows in the Aqua Theater to ice skating productions in Studio B, there's always an impressive performance to watch on board, so why not get the best seat? Not only are shows complimentary, but aside from a small portion of seats reserved for suite guests or Pinnacle members, you can sit anywhere in the theater at no cost. Yes, this means seats in the very front row are available to all guests, but you're going to need to get there early to get one. Evenings are a busy time on a Royal Caribbean cruise ship, so many passengers find themselves scrambling to get a show on time and also work out dinner. Rushing to the theater means many people pick whatever open seats they can find, even if it means the location is not ideal. So instead, go to the theater on your next cruise as soon as the doors open to get the best seats. In most cases, I'm talking about 30 to 45 minutes before the show begins. While arriving early means you'll have to wait in the theater until the show starts, you can always use the time to enjoy a pre-show drink and take a breather on an otherwise busy day. Another really good idea is to use an anti-theft backpack while in port instead of putting your belongings in your pocket. One of the most effective ways to keep your belongings safe while in port is, of course, an anti-theft day pack. Anti-theft backpacks are designed to deter pickpockets from your bag. Most commonly, these bags are made with tough anti-slash material that makes it difficult for potential thieves to cut open the bag. Additionally, anti-theft backpacks feature hidden or well-concealed openings and zippers. Some pockets only open against your back, making it really difficult for anybody to get to your bag without you noticing. Others have a zipper hidden by flaps, which makes the bag appear as if there's no opening in the first place. Fortunately, theft and pickpocketing is really not as common as you might think, but it could happen, especially if you're traveling through busy areas and in Europe. Instead of placing your phone and wallet into a pocket or easy to open bag, wear an anti-theft backpack for added security. So there you have it, 7 ways to do things a little bit differently on your Royal Caribbean cruise. Let me know in the comments below, what is your best do this, not that type tip for a cruise vacation. And while you're down there below our video, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications. That's that little bell icon. That way YouTube lets you know we have a live video or a new video posted here on YouTube. This has been Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, and we'll talk again real soon.